we're 98.7% identical to simians, to chimpanzees. What do they have? They have a harem by nature.
Mm-hmm.
There's only a 1.3% differentiation between us and them, and that 1.3% is supposed to dominate over the 98. I'm just glad I'm 55 now, and sperm production has slowed down.
You could always get a phone that you don't use as anything other than contact a couple people.
Yeah, but that would work. But I'm like, if they're going to hear, they're going to hear.
Yeah, well, that is an issue. So
this is the math. This is the math. So it would, 5,280 feet in a mile, 12 inches in a foot. Therefore, it's 1 mile equals 63,360 inches. So the number of years that it will take for the Earth to move 1 mile is 105,600 years. So that in order for the Earth to reach where we are at 93 million miles, it would take 9,820,800,000,000 years for the Earth to get here. Likewise, Mars, at 147 million miles away from the sun, it would take 15,780,480,000,000 years for Mars to get where it was. So at a given point, Mars was here in the Goldilocks zone. And now Venus is going to inherit the Goldilocks zone next. The sun will give, Mercury is under a higher pressure because they're still under the mistake thinking that there's a void in space. So they forget that Mercury is under the highest pressure possible. So it can expand. It's like hydrogen. It's like those octaves before hydrogen. So the atmosphere, the iron isn't able to release any oxygen and the oxides, but when you get to 67 million miles away from the sun, the pressure is a little less, but it's still so much higher than the pressure on Earth. It's like going deep into the very belly of the Earth. That pressure is so very high. And so now the clouds, there's a great deal of sulfur, there's a great deal of ammonia and all of those things in it. But once Earth moves to where Mars is, Venus is going to slowly move and will be right here. In maybe 5 or 6 trillion years, Venus will be right here, and humanoids will appear again and unwind the same way. And that asteroid belt that we have right now between Mars and Jupiter, that used to be a planet. And I believe that they had humanoids that developed on there, the same way that everything, that's the periodic table. They call it the periodic table because these things happen according to periodicity. They happen under regular events. You change the motion and pressure conditions, the crystallization changes. We call it a different element, but it's the same substance. Like my hand is one substance, but if I do it like this and do it like this and do it like this, it looks like a whole different thing. And they can call it a different element, but it's the same element under different motion and pressure conditions. I believe that Ceres used to be a planet when it was here, and the humanoids on there didn't recognize that we don't have a solid core. Everything expands as a sphere, and no sphere in our universe, no bubble has a solid core. We're perceiving it as a solid core, but there is not a solid core there. There's just a bubble. And at CERN, that Hadron Collider, that particle accelerator, I believe they did the same thing, and they popped their planet. And it became that asteroid belt.
Really?